Today we'll take a closer look at 6 easy to grow herbs that you can use for Thai cooking or other Oriental dishes. I grow all of these in containers. So the first one is basil, and I like to grow basil from seed because I have more of a variety when I can order my seed online. The place where I like to order my Thai basil seeds is called Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and I prefer to use Siam Queen basil. I plant my basil with other basils as well. This is a red Reuben basil. It's not really a Thai basil, but sometimes I'll use it in my Thai dishes too. The Siam Queen has very large leaves and it has a very strong flavor. So when you plant your seed in your container, you should have some well-draining soil, like a potting soil mix, and you'll want to do this after your frost dates. Basil is very frost sensitive and the cold will kill it fast, so make sure that your temperatures have warmed up if you're planting it outside. You can expect your basil to germinate in about 5 to 7 days at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I will leave a link below the video so that you can check out your frost dates if you're not familiar with them. You'll want to keep your seeds watered well until they germinate. So once my seedlings have come up, I like to thin them out, and this just is going to give each individual plant a little room to grow. Sometimes the seeds all come up and they're too crowded, so I found that I get much nicer and healthier plants when I space them out just by cutting them about every 2 inches apart. And then to get your plant growing nice and healthy, you'll want to prune it. So you can just cut off the top. I call it just topping it off, and this will help your basil plant along. Now this is an example of Thai sweet basil, and it has a little purple flower stem that shoots up through the middle and produces little pink flowers. This is probably not my favorite basil to use for Thai cooking. I find that it bolts pretty fast, at least in my climate, which is pretty cold actually, and then the leaves don't have quite as much flavor as the Siam Queen. This is the Siam Queen. Now whenever you harvest your basil, you'll want to go ahead and put that in some water. This will help keep it from wilting over until you get inside where you can use it. And as always, give your basil a good wash before using to remove any kind of insects or insect eggs that might be underneath your leaves. The next plant we'll look at is lemongrass. Lemongrass has a wonderful citrusy flavor, and I find that it's easiest to grow from a stalk that I buy at the store versus growing it from a seed. I can plant this in the ground where I live, but it will not survive a frost, so I prefer also to grow it in containers where I can bring it indoors during the cooler seasons of the year, like in late fall and in the winter. From containers, I always get a nice harvest, and I did a complete video for you a couple of years ago to show you how to grow lemongrass. I'll leave a link for you at the end of this video so that you can check it out if you like. Now our third plant, of course, is the pepper plant. I like to grow these little Thai peppers. These are really, really hot, but I love them. I love to use these a lot. And again, I grow these from seed. A lot of times it's hard for me to find the varieties of plants that I like to use for cooking just at the nursery. So I grow a lot of things, almost everything from seed. This particular pepper I actually bought at the farmer's market, and I've been saving the seed for I guess about 8 years now. Of course, you can always order them online. Now I did a complete video for you too on how to grow peppers, and in case you missed it, I will leave a link at the end of the video so you can check that out too. This is an example of the Thai yellow pepper, which is wonderful. So those are the 2 peppers that I use for heat in my Thai dishes. And sometimes I also like to plant basil in with my pepper plants. So as you can see here, I have a couple of basil plants on the outside of the container of a pepper plant. So our fourth plant is the Kaffir Lime tree. Some people say Kaffir Lime tree. This is also easy to grow from seed, but it's kind of hard sometimes to find the seed. This is actually a little tree I started from seed a few years ago. I saved the seed from a lime that I collected from my tree, but I think you can order seeds online, particularly I think on eBay. This is the tree last year, so that's at about 3 years growth. Do expect for that tree to grow very slow, but it will pick up. At least in my climate, I have to bring it indoors 6 months out of the year. If you live where it's warm your tree may grow much faster. This is my original tree that I purchased. You can see how skinny the little trunk is there, and it only had a couple of branches. So that was about 7 years ago, and that little tree has done very well for me. I've had very few problems. I've had some issues, but overall it's been a good tree considering I live in zone 6B. You can expect a tree to get anywhere from about 8 to 10 feet tall if you grow it in a container, but if you grow it in the ground, you can expect for it to get probably anywhere from 15 to 25 feet tall, and that would be for zones 9 through 10 in the U.S. So here are some little pink blossoms that my tree produces, and then they turn into little tiny limes, of course, and then they turn into big limes, and you can see how bumpy this fruit is. It has a very unusual shape and flavor. However, most often I use the leaves for cooking, but some dishes I'll have to use a lime, so it's always nice to be able to have a lime from my tree. When I use the limes, I mostly use the zest. The limes get about 1.5 inches to 2 inches in diameter, and whenever I use the limes, I mostly use the zest. This is a picture of a lime I zested, and now I want to retrieve the little seed from the inside. And there's not always a seed in there. This one there was, so I was real happy about that. So our fifth plant is cilantro. It is sometimes referred to as coriander in some parts of the world. And this is not a frost sensitive plant. The other ones that I have shown you are very frost sensitive. So I did a very thorough video for you on how to grow cilantro. I find a lot of people have a hard time growing cilantro, and it mostly has to do with the temperature. It's very temperature sensitive. And our final plant is the green onion, or sometimes we refer to those as scallions. And you can see here that I have some coming up, and that's about 3 to 4 weeks growth. Behind it, I'm going to go ahead and plant some more. That's so that I'll have a continuous supply. So by the time the ones that I first showed you have matured and I've used them, the ones I'm planting now will be mature and I can start using those. Now, green onions mature in anywhere from about 60 to 100 days. I like to use them at around 60 days. That's usually about this size here or just a little bit bigger. I find that they're nice and sweet and crisp versus when they get a little bit more mature, closer to that 100-day mark. They seem to be a little bit more, I guess you could say, slimy. I don't really prefer the flavor as much either, so I like them at around 60 days. All of these herbs, with the exception of the green onion and the cilantro, are frost sensitive, and therefore I have to bring them indoors during the winter, and I usually will do this in my garage just so they get a little bit of sunlight during the day. My garage windows offer plenty of light so that my plants can overwinter in there okay. I went into detail with you on that in the pepper growing video, so I won't go into that right now. So I hope you're able to grow some of these wonderful herbs and get cooking. I will leave a link here for you if you'd like to check out those more in-depth videos, and I'll have more coming up for you soon. Thanks so much for watching, and y'all have a beautiful day.